Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto anime review. This one's going to be for episode 228, which is called Kawaki's Path to Becoming a Shinobi. So this is all about sort of Kawaki, will he or will he not become a genin? And how does he go about doing that? So he goes on some missions with some of the teams, and they don't go well. And then we end the episode with the idea that he's going on a mission with Shikadai and Chocho. So sort of, second best team. It's a slightly higher rank mission to perhaps suit his kind of skill level a little more. Will he get over some of his issues about working with the other members and not really considering the other people in the village friends? That sort of thing. It's an interesting episode because I think a lot of how I feel about this episode will maybe change depending on how the resolution to this goes in the next episode or the next episode after, because there are moments in this episode that make me feel that they're going for something actually quite significant here. I think this could actually be a really strong anime original episode that could add to Kawaki's character quite heavily. And then there are other aspects that maybe make me feel like is this just going to be sort of just a very subtle little development in Kawaki's character, and it won't actually amount to all that much. But I'm leaning towards being slightly positive, just because a couple of the scenes in this episode I thought were quite well done, and make me somewhat confident that they'll do something with his character. So basically we get the idea that the first mission with Denki's team to capture this wild panda animal that's freaking out doesn't go well, because Kawaki basically sleeps through the mission and doesn't take Denki's orders at all. He just plays no role in the mission whatsoever. Metal gets slightly injured. I think he gets a scratch to the face after one of the hits from the panda. But ultimately the team does succeed in the mission because, again, now that team has a tuning on their team in Denki, they're actually meant to be doing higher rank missions, so they kind of dropped down to do a D rank so Kawaki could participate, but he didn't. Then he's asked to do a mission which is just to, bring a lost child back to his parents, and this is with Wasabi's team. And again, it's just this situation where he actually does the mission, he actually participates. It's just the way he does it goes a little bit overboard, because this mission was not sort of capture a fugitive, it's just to bring back a lost child. He doesn't hurt the kid, but he scares the kid too much, and this gets that team in trouble. So it just speaks to he didn't really he didn't really adapt to what the mission actually was. He just, there's the kid, I have the kid, that sort of thing. So there's that. This sets up the idea that a lot of the other teams believe that Kawaki is not suited to be a shinobi. That's sort of the, in a way, theme of the episode. That this is said about him a few times, and we get to the point where maybe even Boruto says that same thing about him. And Boruto says it right at a point where it seems like Kawaki has a little bit of a turning point even within this episode, and it's timed a bit poorly, and Hinata sort of has to point that out to Boruto, that I think you're being a bit harsh on Kawaki here. He's trying, and look, here's evidence that he absolutely is trying. So in that sense, like I said, there is potential here. I'm just not sure if I should really go all in and being like, yeah, this was a really, really strong episode. I'll wait and see what they do next time out. Because what they seem to be setting up is that after a few missions where he just didn't participate, Naruto gets the idea that, was he just bored by the fact that these were low rank missions? He's probably powerful enough to do higher rank missions, so let's send him on a C rank and see how he does there. That might be more in line with something that he'd be good at. So he's sent on this escort mission with Shikadai and Chocho. Now, what they seem to be going for here is that sort of Shikadai theoretically is a character who Kawaki sort of, in a way, like, should be kind of friends with. Like, his main friends probably should be Boruto and Shikadai. So this will be, I suppose, maybe partly about that dynamic. You already have the dynamic with Chocho, where she finds Kawaki handsome, so I suppose that dynamic will be okay. But it's actually the client for this mission that they seem to be going for something with, that this might be where the development comes from. That the client comes in and it reminds you actually quite a bit of Kawaki, with the sort of the rudeness, the attitude that kind of comes out. And Kawaki immediately wants to hit this guy because he wants like a discount on the mission because Kawaki was late and so on. Now, based on the preview, it looks like the mission's going to get a little bit more complicated, a little bit more dangerous. And I think what Sarda says is probably going to happen, where we're going to be put in a situation where Kawaki thinks he can do this all on his own. He doesn't have to work together with Shikadai and Chocho to accomplish anything. And he's going to get himself in trouble. He's going to realize he can't do it on his own. Needs to work together with people and needs to just be like better and try to be a bit nicer to people. The previews seem to get across that he's actually going to be the one to maybe have the connection with the client, which is usually what happens when you have like a mission for a client that has a bit of a bad attitude. They usually would have like Naruto or Boruto be the one to open up and help this character change. But it actually looks like they'll maybe have both of them help each other, maybe. We'll see exactly how that goes, but I think that could be something that's interesting. As for, I suppose, the strong moments of the episode, the main ones probably would be, one is the Sarda scene. I did like that because before that you had shown that even though he's not doing much on the missions, he is actually doing like jutsu training and working hard to improve his like strength, his power in between. So it makes it clear that it's not a case of like motivation necessarily. He wants to be stronger. He just doesn't necessarily see going on missions, teaming up with people as the way to do that. And so going over to Sarda, who he's just seen get a promotion and be probably the most successful one in the tuning exams, his sort of someone he is close to getting a promotion, seeing that they're still working really hard to improve. Sarda wants to go on lots of missions with people, and Kawaki doesn't quite get that mentality, but even she points out that there's only so much you can do on your own. You have to work together with the other people on your team, and that's how you will succeed as a shinobi. So he goes kind of back to work here, but I suppose that advice from Sarda, that attitude, is probably something that he will take to heart a little bit as we go forward. The other thing that sort of helps him change is that he's given his sort of pay for the missions that he wasn't... Both missions were successful and he was part of the team, so he gets paid for them, even if it's at like a lower rate than if he was a Genin. So this is a kind of big surprise for him because like no one had ever said anything about this, and I suppose this is his first time ever being like probably like given his own money that like he sort of like earned himself and hasn't just been given. So this is sort of this pleasant surprise for him where he's like, oh wow, I can spend this how I want. And you think it's going to be this fun like Kawaki shopping trip thing where he just buys stuff for himself for the first time. And he does that initially, like where he goes to the place, that the food that he likes, he buys one of the things. But then a mother and child walk past and say, we should bring food home for everyone. And then Kawaki does the same thing. He actually brings home a bunch of this stuff for, I guess, the whole Uzumaki family. But as he arrives back with a, I suppose the intent of maybe changing a little bit, Boruto suddenly confronts him over what all of his friends have been saying about Kawaki on the missions, that he's not suited to be a shinobi. And so he sort of, lays into Kawaki a little bit about, that, and basically says the same thing. I don't think you are suited to be a shinobi. You need to be better. And so that, because of who Kawaki is, his sort of stubbornness, all the work that was done over the previous two scenes sort of gets put on the back burner here as he sort of runs off, but he drops the bag of food, and this leads into probably my favorite scene of the episode, which was Hinata talks to Boruto about the sort of argument he just had with Kawaki. And I like this because Hinata doesn't get used all that much in, for the most part, in the entire series, to have scenes that like help the characters all that much. But I thought this specific instance, it was like the perfect character for it. For someone who is known, especially like in early Naruto, for being the shy character, I think it makes sense that she would be the one to sort of best latch onto what Kawaki, I suppose, deep down is struggling with, and that is that because of his past and how, you know, torturous it was, she knows that he just doesn't fully know how to socialize with people normally. That you get on with him okay because you had like a very incident-packed, you know, meeting and stuff like that, but he doesn't know how to do that like normally every day with people. And he's trying because she walks out, she finds the bag of food and just points that out to Boruto. Look, he brought home food for us. I wish they'd maybe lingered on that scene just a little bit more to figure it out that like, oh, he must have just got paid for the missions that he did and he used that money to buy this stuff for us. That's a big deal. I appreciate that they at least pointed out the food, and you know, you could tell Boruto like got it, but maybe hitting it home a little bit more would have been a bit nicer. We'll see if they come back in the next episode too, like Boruto figuring some stuff out next episode. But overall, like, I did like that scene to just kind of highlight that Boruto was being a little bit too harsh on him. That, you know, it doesn't excuse the fact that he was just completely unhelpful on these missions or anything like that, but it helps to sort of get past the idea that like being super harsh on him for the attitude that he has is maybe not the best approach. Whereas, you know, what Sarda said to him was actually pretty solid advice. So we at least have this dynamic where he's kind of like, okay, I can get money for these missions. That's cool. That's never happened before. And then there's the idea of, you know, just teamwork, interacting with other people better. That's what I suppose the next episode is going to have to be about. I didn't look too much into the preview to see what exactly the threat was, but I'm guessing it's just something that, as strong as Kawaki is, he can't defeat this person on his own, for whatever reason. And he is going to need to rely on Shikadai and Chocho and some teamwork to save the client or whatever. So that's an interesting dynamic for me. I'm hopeful that the next episode will be pretty strong because, you know, like I said, that there was enough moments here where I'm like, yeah, I like what's going on here. Naruto, you know, doing everything he can to try and give Kawaki a path to, you know, become a genin. Shikamaru even beginning to doubt that he's like suited to this. And yeah, a nice Hinata scene, a nice Sarda scene, and it all, you know, I think came together reasonably well. Maybe the characterization of Kawaki could have been a little bit more nuanced, but I think that will more come out in the next episode. So, you know, good, not great for this episode probably, but in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on this episode. Other than that, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.